Have you ever had lemon and ginger? It's really not the best. Hey shiny friends, how are you today? I'm coming to you today with a follow-up from the video that I did reading from Matthew 5:13 through 17, and we talked about shining a ray of hope and like shining a light and being the light. And that's my subtitle here on my YouTube channel, is You Were Made to Shine. I've been thinking about, some people may not quite know how they can shine, and so I thought I would cover a few ways that you can shine, and that way you'll have a better outlook on it. Because after reading the verses last week in Matthew 5:13 through 17, in the footnotes there were ways that our light does not shine. I've been kind of thinking about those over the past couple days, ways of how we could go over and would be able to better exemplify ways that we could shine. So I'm happy to be here with you today and share with you what the Lord has put on my heart. The first thing in the footnotes last time that we went over actually came from the verses that we read, Matthew 5:14 and 16. And so in the footnotes it gave us like 6 reasons of how our light could not shine. And the first one was being quiet when we should speak. I've been kind of pondering and listening to what he would put on my heart about these different things that were listed out in the footnotes. And this one, being quiet when we should speak up, obviously the opposite would be speak up. By that I mean, there may be times when things come up in our life we just feel a little uncertain about speaking up about. So my encouragement is to be listening for his voice to give you that approval to speak in times whenever you just don't feel like you should, or you're afraid of, different things. And so I've made a few notes that we can talk about, and so we'll just kind of go over those. Of course, the first is being, speak up. Speak up even when you don't feel heard. Even if you think others are going to talk about you, disagree with you, make fun of you, laugh at you, or even walk away from you. When you know someone is walking through a hard time, even if you don't know the right words to say, don't want to bother them. How many times have you heard someone walking through a particular hard time, whether it be a sick child, that's like long-term sickness, or someone who's dealing with an aging parent, or someone who just lost their best friend, or their, brother or sister in a car wreck or something. How many times do you hear, but because you're not quite real close with that person, you kind of tend to, pull back and be like, what I say doesn't matter. They don't even quite know who I am. I encourage you to, if you have those people on your Facebook, inbox them. If somehow or another you get their phone number and you could text them, text them. If you get their mailing address, it could be a note on a sticky. It could be a card. It could be a card made on a blank note card. You can just simply put the words, I'm thinking about you. You don't even have to go into details of why you're thinking about them, because they're the ones that are hurting. They know what they're walking through. There doesn't have to be an explanation of why you're thinking about them. Too many others are saying things, mine will never matter, which we kind of just covered that. What you say might not make sense, or you don't know how to fix what's wrong. And the point is, you can't fix it, but you can be a voice of reason and a voice of understanding. And that is so important for us to understand, that usually whenever we reach out to people and we express to them that we are sincerely concerned that they're walking through a hard time, is to just be that voice of reason and to be there as an understanding person. I truly believe that that's when our light really, really shines, is when we let those people know that we sincerely care, and they will feel that love and that understanding. That to me is when our light truly, truly shines, and we completely give it to him. We give all the glory to him. Just this week, I learned something about a friend and something that she's dealing with, and it is something that has not really been talked about, or at least not in my little circle. And so I reached out to her to let her know that I was thinking of her and praying for her. And, you know, in my heart and mind, like, I know that there's nothing that absolutely I can do to fix the circumstance that she's in. It's not something she ever wished for. It's not something she had any control over, because it's something that completely came out of the blue for her. And she's just having to walk through it. But I had just days before made notes getting ready to film this for y'all, and was thinking about the first thing about speaking up. And so I went several days without ever texting her. The enemy really began to attack me, telling me things like, it's none of your business, you have no reason, you have no right to even say anything. There's no telling how long she's been dealing with this. Maybe it's too late. I dealt with that for several days. Out of the clear blue, I had already pre-typed up a note in a text message in my notes. And I said, you know what? You're not holding me captive any longer. The Lord keeps revealing this to me to send this message. And so I sent it. And we corresponded a little bit. And at the end, do you know, she didn't even know what I was preparing for. She didn't even know these kind of notes that I had been making. And at one of the very last things that she told me is, I feel understood by you. Don't we all want that, y'all? We all want to feel understood. We all want someone there as we're walking through something. Yes, we may not physically be able to be there every single day to hold someone's hand, but the first step is letting them know that, yes, we care. And so after she, said that to me, hours later, I was looking back over my notes and I read that. I wrote, the point is you can't fix it, but you can be a voice of reason, a voice of understanding. Y'all, my jaw dropped. I mean, he had already prepared that long before. And this was me reading back over these verses and reading my footnotes and preparing for the opposite of ways of how we hide our light, to reverse that, for us to learn how we can shine and be that ray of hope and tell the world about him. And it was in those moments that I wrote that out. That was written out before I even communicated with her. And that was him speaking into me and through me. Another one would be, to speak up, like if you're in the grocery store or maybe at the library checking out your books or something. A lot of times I'll be like, say, at the grocery store or Walmart, and the cashier might not speak, but I speak first. I just have to think about, they're walking through something too. They don't want to be at work no more than I want to be buying groceries. For me to step up and out and speak and give them verbal, that smiling face, they might not even ever get that. They might not ever get that at home. They may have not ever even know what that feels like. And so I always try to, in my time of being out and about, be that ray of hope that I can for these people that I might not ever, it's not like I'm going to have this big long-term friendship with and go places, but you can be that light in people's lives, as you're going about your day. And it's like one day I was letting a car out. Whenever I pick my daughter up in the afternoons, the traffic is like bumper to bumper. And there's really no one within the school per se. In certain areas directing traffic, there are an area that there may be somebody. I never go around that way. But then out in the street, sometimes we do have a police officer, but within on the campus, there's not. That traffic's bumper to bumper, and you got people trying to back out or people trying to come through, grab a parking lot. And a lot of times, I will stop and let those people out. Well, one day we had a friend riding with us, and I stopped to let this person out, and she said, man, my mom would have never done that. It's the little things. Not that mother was wrong for not ever letting out. She may do her shining in so many other places that coming upon letting someone out, she may be reached her limit of shining for the day. So, nothing against that mother not letting someone out, but I'm just saying, are there times that you're missing the opportunity to shine and you haven't reach that max? And how do you know when your max is? It's kind of like donating money each year. Their organizations want you to do different things. And I'll never forget this particular dentist I worked for years ago. He would tell me, we would always have people come around wanting us to donate or, sponsor this and what have you. And he would just tell me. And I really highly respected him and his business ethic and everything. he had reached his max for the year. You know, he always prayed about how much the Lord put on his heart for him to donate and put out, you know, like beyond his family's needs and means. So I just always listened to that. And so that's kind of the gauging off of that is like what I'm saying is maybe you've reached your max for the day, and that letting someone out in traffic just is not, you know, like you've already done all your shining earlier in the day. So in times of trouble yourself, the Lord he doesn't want his people to come. I mean, he doesn't want us to walk through things by ourselves. He wants his people to be able to come around you in times of needs. So basically, don't block the power of prayer. You know, it really is hard whenever we're walking through things not to want to speak up and be able to share things that we may be walking through. And it can be something as simple or silly as studying for a college quiz. If that is what's weighing heavy on your heart at the time, by all means, ask your praying friends or your non-praying friends to pray for you. Because it is in those times of need that we open up the prayer channels for everyone to be involved and to release that fear and anxiety and different feelings that we may be dealing with. Not only healing for ourselves, but for the person who's praying. I mean, the kingdom is not just about us. It's not just about you. It's about all of us. We all have different areas that we have to work through. And so whenever we open up and we share things that we're going through, and I'm not saying get on a megaphone and announce it to the world that, hey, blah, blah, blah. But if you've got your core of people or your little friends in your small group or in the choir with you, share it with them. They want to know what you're walking through. I get to talking and my mouth gets dry and everything. But I've started this new thing, drinking tea. And this one is ginger and lemon. I don't know why I've come up with this. Maybe for some health benefits or something. You know, Google it or watch you some videos on YouTube or look it up on Pinterest of the health benefits of tea. So somehow or another I come across thinking about drinking some teas and stuff, and I think maybe it was because a couple weeks ago I was real sick and had a lot of congestion, and so I was trying to figure out ways to help, and I came across the apple cider. And so you may have already watched that video. But so after a couple of days and weeks went by, I started thinking about, well, what's something else that I could have like in the afternoon? Because I kind of had gotten used to drinking that little concoction in the afternoons. I was like, I want something. So I started kind of researching and stuff, and I come across teas and like their health benefits and stuff. So I don't know. I'm trying to continue the little ritual. So, all right, so up under all that, I wrote, I don't know about you, but I want to be heard. Often I'm not, and that's okay. I still speak, I still share, I still pray, I still encourage, and I'm still me. And one of the biggest things about shining is for you to understand to be you who the Lord made you to be, and not to dwell on, well, I don't look like her, or my house, you know, it's not as clean as hers, or I don't drive that type of vehicle, and I don't have as many kids as her. Or, you know, and to give you a fine example, like, you know, me writing, I still speak, I still share, I still pray, I still encourage, I'm still me. One of the biggest things about me starting to make these videos was, will I actually have people who watch it? Will I actually have people who subscribe to my channel? How will I portray to others about this shine? How will they understand what shine means? And so, because you know, like when we think of shine, we think it can be mixed in our mind of like, oh, we've got to be this shiny, sparkly person that's always got to be put together, and that's how we shine. Well, that's not. That for the Lord, that's not shining. For Him is like the things that we just talked about. the very first one being speaking up, and to be that voice of reason and the voice of understanding coming straight from him when we, in our quiet moments, spend time with him, or even in the busy wild moments, just really being in tune with him and believing and understanding that we are his, we are loved by him, and being content in him, and not wishing that we wanted something else, not wishing we wanted a different job, and sitting in that cubicle and wishing, man, if I worked somewhere else where there were more people around and we had a bigger office and I didn't have to just sit in this little cubicle all by myself, things would be so much better. Well, that's not true. It's coming to grips with, who you are, the job that you've been blessed with, and being happy and content and trusting him of what he's doing. And when we do that, that's whenever we have the opportunity to turn and shine and be there for others. But if we constantly are looking and we are nitpicking at all these other little different things that we wish we didn't, that we wish that we had, we can't shine. We can't speak up to others because we're too busy clogged in our own hearts and minds, in our own battle and our own struggle, that we're destroying what's out there that we could be doing for others. We got to remember, it's not all about us. Just to kind of recap, the first thing that talked about in the footnotes last week whenever I read Matthew 13 through 17 for you, the first of the 6 that was talking about us not shining our ways that like we would hide our light and not be able to give him the glory and the honor for things, is being quiet when we should speak. It hides our light. And so, what I did is took that time to sit amongst him, and I read back over those verses and I read back over those footnotes, and I just kind of reminisced over it, and I listened for his voice, for him to give me clarity of, how can I set this up? How can I put it out there for others to understand how they can shine? Because I think so often we could really be doing things in our life, but we don't recognize it. We don't see it that way, and we don't have the clarity that, hey, we really are already shining. And whenever you take that time and you understand and you hear it and you get the confirmation that, I really am shining, that is so rewarding to hear that voice and to get that clarity and know that you really are working for him outside yourself, So that one way that we can shine was to speak up. My encouragement is that he spoke to you today through this message. I'm going to get another sip of this wonderful tea here. Have you ever had lemon and ginger? It's really not the best. So why in the world am I drinking it? Oh, who knows? But this is what I like about doing this, is because I want you to be able to see just real life with someone on a daily basis. So here's the thing. Remember, speak up. Speak up even if you don't feel heard, even if you don't think that they're going to understand what you're saying. Or are they going to even know what I'm talking about? I'm sure so many other people have already reached out to them that what I say doesn't matter. I'm going to tell you something. If the Lord even puts the smidget, little least bit on your heart for you to speak up and say something for something that someone is walking through, honey, do it. For your good and for that person's good. You never know that voice of reason and understanding could so be that light that that person needs to be able to connect where they need to be on their journey. It may be the life-changing, altering moment. So don't ever hesitate to speak up. Leave in the comments below ways that you have spoke up this week, or that ways that you see that you can speak up. Or maybe you're that person who is actually walking through something and you need somebody to listen or pray with you, or just acknowledge that, hey, I'm walking through this, that you need a voice of reason, that you need a voice of understanding, you need someone to hear what you're going through. Leave it in the comments. I will read them, I will acknowledge them, and I will pray for you. Don't ever hesitate to leave something, because I'm here for you. And I hope that others can be here for you as well if they are reading in the comments. That would be really awesome. I hope that y'all have a wonderful day, and I will see you back here for next time. We'll skip on to the second way that you can shine. I hope you have a wonderful day, and I'm excited about going through this and walking through this and coming to the understanding of this. And maybe this is something all you already know, but I'm the girl who has to get, knee deep in His Word and read for myself and come up with that understanding to be able to relay it to others, because there's a lot of times that I walk through life and I know things, but I don't know how to release them to help others understand. So guess what? I'm speaking up. So I hope you have a wonderful week, and remember to speak up.